AITA for telling my golden child brother that I wouldn't help him and that it was time to face the consequences of his actions? I'm the oldest child in my family. I have a sister named Kate, the middle child, and a younger brother named Hize, who has always been the classic golden child of the family. I could spend days recounting incidents that illustrate his behavior, but suffice it to say, the day I turned 18 and moved out of my family's house was the best day of my life. On the other hand, Kate and I have always had a great relationship and are extremely close. In fact, we live near each other and always support one another. Our common trait is our pure hatred for Hize and his diva character. Add to that the fact that our family is very wealthy, and you get the full picture. Our parents always tried to cover up his unbearable and diva-like attitude by, for example, silencing the gossip news in our country full of Hize's antics. This episode explains his attitude well. 3 years ago, Hize was arrested because he set a police car on fire because he thought it was funny. Fortunately, no one was in the car, but my parents did a titanic job covering up this story, and fortunately, almost no one knows about it. This is just a small example, but it shows you his absolutely idiotic and spoiled character. Over the years, my parents always turned a blind eye to his behavior and treated him like a king while treating us with disdain. Anyway, the issue is that they finally opened their eyes to Hize's behavior and tried to discipline him, but after years of no results, they threw him out of their house. Finally, karma hit him hard. But now Hize is stressing me and Kate to help him find a house and a job, but we refused immediately. So now he is staying at a friend's house, but even his friend is tired of him and of being called poor because his friend isn't as rich as we are. So I'm spending my days being happy that Hize finally got what he deserves and everyone is treating him like he always treated others. Because, yes, another of his things is being the classic rich snob that treats others poorly just because of our family wealth. But recently, Hize started insisting, especially with me, so I just exploded. During a call, I told him that finally, karma hit him hard, and our parents realized too late that he was a spoiled brat and asshole. Kate and I wouldn't help him, not even under torture, so he needed to grow up and face the consequences of his spoiled character and behavior. We argued a lot, and then I just hung up. Now, while Kate supports me, my parents told me that I should be more understanding with Hize and help him anyway, because Hize is always my brother, and we help family. So yes, I even argued with them. So, AITA for not helping my spoiled brother? Here's the update with the OP being delusional and oblivious. Update. Hey everyone. Thanks for all your feedback, even though a lot of you seem to misunderstand the situation. I just wanted to give you an update on how things are going. So Hize's situation has gotten a bit worse. His friend finally had enough of him and kicked him out. Now he's practically living out of his car and couch surfing with anyone who will have him. He's still constantly calling me and Kate, begging for help, but we stand firm. Karma, right? Some of you seem to think I'm being too harsh, but you don't know the half of what Kate and I have been through with him. He's a spoiled brat who's never had to face any real consequences, and now he finally is. It's honestly a good thing for him. Tough love and all that. Our parents are really mad at us now. They're threatening to cut us off financially if we don't help him, which is ridiculous. I mean, they're the ones who created this monster, so they should deal with it. Besides, Kate and I are doing just fine on our own. We don't need their money. Oh, and get this. Hize showed up at my workplace the other day, causing a scene and demanding that I give him money. My boss had to call security to get him out. It was so embarrassing, but honestly, I couldn't help but laugh. I mean, how desperate and pathetic can he get? Some of you might say I should feel bad for him, but why? He's finally getting what he deserves. I'm just glad Kate and I are free from his toxic presence. Life is good, and we're thriving without all the drama. To those of you saying I should help him because he's family, you clearly don't understand the concept of tough love. Sometimes you have to let people hit rock bottom before they can learn and grow. Hize will thank me someday. Anyway, thanks for reading. I'm sure things will get better soon. After all, karma is just doing its thing. Everything is fine, and Kate and I couldn't be happier with how things are turning out. AITA for telling my golden child brother that I wouldn't help him and that it was time to take the consequences of his actions? Hi everyone, I'm back with more details because a lot of you seem to think I've been too harsh on my brother, Hize. You don't know the half of what Kate and I have been through with him. He's a spoiled brat who's never had to face any real consequences. Let me paint a clearer picture by sharing several incidents from our childhood. Incident 1. The birthday party disaster. When I was 10, my parents threw a huge birthday party for me. It was supposed to be a special day, and I was really looking forward to it. Everything was going great until Hize, who was 5 at the time, decided he wasn't getting enough attention. He threw a massive tantrum, screaming and crying until our parents had to stop everything to calm him down. They ended up giving him some of my birthday presents just to keep him quiet. My special day was overshadowed by his bratty behavior, and my parents didn't seem to care. Incident 2. The school project sabotage. When Kate was in middle school, she worked really hard on a science project for weeks. She was so proud of it and was excited to present it at the school fair. The night before the fair, Hize, who was 8 at the time, thought it would be funny to mess with her project. He poured water all over it, ruining weeks of work. When Kate discovered what he had done, she was devastated. Our parents' reaction? Boys will be boys. They didn't even punish him. Kate had to stay up all night trying to salvage what she could, and she ended up with a much lower grade than she deserved. Incident 3. The college fund incident. As the eldest, I had always been told that we needed to work hard and save for college. I took it seriously and started working part-time jobs in high school to save money. Kate did the same. But when it was time for Hize to think about college, our parents decided to dip into our savings to cover his expenses. Hize never had to work a day in his life and didn't appreciate the value of money. When Kate and I protested, we were told that as the successful and responsible ones, we should support our brother. It was incredibly unfair and demoralizing. Incident 4. The car crash cover-up. When Hize turned 16, our parents bought him a brand new car. He didn't appreciate it and treated it recklessly. One night, he decided to go joyriding with his friends and ended up crashing the car into a neighbor's fence. Instead of letting him face the consequences, our parents paid off the neighbor and covered up the incident. Hize didn't learn anything from it and continued to drive recklessly. Meanwhile, I had to save up for years just to buy a used car and took care of it meticulously because I knew how hard I had worked for it. Incident 5. The business sabotage. After college, I started my own small business. I was passionate about it and put in countless hours to make it successful. One day, I discovered that Hize had been using my business's credit card for his personal expenses without my knowledge. He racked up thousands of dollars in debt, almost bankrupting me. When I confronted him, he shrugged it off and said he needed the money for a project. Our parents bailed him out yet again, and I was left to deal with the financial mess and the damage to my business's reputation. These are just a few examples of the countless times Hize has wreaked havoc on our lives without facing any real consequences. My parents' constant enabling has only made things worse. It's been a pattern of indulgence and disregard for Kate and me, while Hize has been coddled and protected at every turn. So when I say I won't help him now, it's because I've seen what happens when he's shielded from the consequences of his actions. He's 25 years old now, and it's high time he learns to take responsibility for his behavior. Kate and I have had enough of cleaning up his messes and being pushed aside. It's not about being harsh. It's about finally standing up for ourselves and refusing to let him drag us down any further. Thank you to everyone who has supported us and offered advice. It's been a long and painful journey, but we're finally finding our strength and standing our ground. AITA for telling my golden child brother that I wouldn't help him and that it was time to take the consequences of his actions? Hi everyone. I've shared some details about my brother Hize's behavior and how my sister Kate and I have had to deal with it over the years. A lot of you have asked why our parents always favored and spoiled Hize so much, so I'm going to share the facts and background that explain their behavior. From the moment Hize was born, he captivated our parents' attention in a way that Kate and I never did. They doted on him, showered him with gifts and praise, and made excuses for his behavior. They saw him as an extension of their own identities, a reflection of their best qualities. Any criticism of him felt like a personal attack on them. This wasn't openly admitted, but their actions spoke volumes. There was a clear gender bias in our family. Our parents placed more value on having a son, leading them to treat Hize differently. They gave him more opportunities, more leniency, and more attention because they believed he needed to be prepared to carry on the family legacy. This bias was subtle but ever-present and significantly influenced their behavior. Being the youngest child, Hize naturally garnered a lot of attention. Our parents were more lenient with him, perhaps because they were more experienced and more tired by the time he came along. This leniency turned into outright indulgence. They let him get away with things that Kate and I would have been severely punished for, simply because he was the baby of the family. This dynamic fostered a sense of entitlement and lack of responsibility in him. Our parents also felt guilty about not spending enough time with us due to their demanding jobs. They tried to compensate by giving Hize everything he wanted. Material possessions, lack of discipline, and constant praise were their way of showing love. They believed they were making up for their absence by being overly generous. They feared losing control over Hize. His behavior was often erratic and attention-seeking. Instead of confronting it head-on, they chose the path of least resistance. By giving in to his demands and shielding him from consequences, they maintained a semblance of peace and control. Confronting his behavior would have required them to acknowledge their own shortcomings as parents, which they were unwilling to do. Our family is well known and respected in our community, and maintaining that image is incredibly important to our parents. Admitting that their son was problematic or facing public scandal was something they couldn't bear. By constantly covering up for Hize's mistakes and bailing him out of trouble, they preserved the family's reputation. They were more concerned with how things looked on the outside than addressing the underlying issues within our family. Our parents were in a state of psychological denial. They convinced themselves that Hize was special and that his behavior was just a phase he would grow out of. Admitting that he had serious issues would have been admitting that they failed in some way as parents. It was easier for them to live in denial and create a fantasy where Hize was perfect and Kate and I were just being overly critical. Reflecting on all this doesn't make it any easier to accept, but it does provide some context for why things were the way they were. Understanding these reasons doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps me see that it was a complex mix of factors, rather than a simple case of favoritism. Thank you to everyone who has been following our story and offering support. It's been therapeutic to share and reflect, and your insights have been invaluable. Here's to hoping we can all find some peace and resolution as we move forward. Final update. Hey everyone, I have a major and heartbreaking update to share. It's been a tough journey, and things have taken a turn that I never expected. Yesterday, Kate came to my place in tears. She could barely speak through her sobs, but eventually, she told me everything. Our parents had convinced her to take care of Hize, and she had been hiding it from me because she knew how I would react. She felt cornered by our parents' constant pressure and guilt trips, so she reluctantly agreed to help Hize, hoping it would be different this time. Kate invited Hize to live with her and her boyfriend, thinking that a stable environment might help him change. But it turned into a nightmare. Hize completely trashed their apartment, leaving a trail of destruction. He threw wild parties, ignored their rules, and treated their home like his personal playground. Even worse, he stole and sold some of their valuable objects, including electronics and jewelry that held sentimental value. The final straw came when Kate discovered that Hize somehow managed to get access to one of her bank accounts and drained it completely. Thousands of dollars gone. Her savings, her security, all wiped out in an instant. Kate's boyfriend was furious. The stress and betrayal were too much for him to handle, and he broke up with her and moved out. Now, Kate is left with a destroyed apartment, a broken heart, and financial ruin. She begged me for help, and I could see how desperate she was. Despite everything, I couldn't turn my back on her. But I had to set some conditions. I told her I would help her get back on her feet, but only if she kicked Hize out immediately and went low contact with both him and our parents. It was a tough ultimatum, but I knew it was the only way to protect her from further harm. Kate reluctantly agreed. She's heartbroken about the fallout with our parents and the loss of her relationship, but she knows it's the right thing to do. We spent the entire day cleaning up her apartment and changing the locks. We reported the theft and bank fraud to the police, hoping to recover at least some of what was lost. It's been an incredibly difficult and emotional time for both of us. Seeing Kate so broken has been devastating, but I'm proud of her for making the tough decision to cut ties with Hize and our enabling parents. We're going to get through this together, one step at a time. Thank you to everyone who has followed our story and offered support and advice. Your words have been a source of strength for us during these trying times. Here's to hoping we can finally find some peace and rebuild our lives without the constant chaos caused by Hize. Final update. Hey everyone, I'm back with an update that's both disappointing and frustrating. I need to address some misunderstandings from the last post and share the latest developments, which are not what I had hoped for. Firstly, I've been getting a lot of backlash from some commenters accusing me of being controlling, abusive, and psychotic for giving Kate an ultimatum. I want to clarify that the ultimatum was never about being controlling. It was about setting boundaries to protect Kate and ensure she stopped enabling Hize. I understand that some people may view it differently, but I felt it was necessary given the dire situation she was in. Unfortunately, it turns out that Kate hasn't been entirely honest with me. Despite agreeing to cut ties with Hize and our parents, she's continued to support both of them behind my back. The money I've been giving her to help her get back on her feet has been going straight to Hize. He's been using it to go out clubbing with his friends every night, living a lifestyle that he has no right to afford given his situation. When I confronted Kate about this, she admitted that she's still in contact with our parents and continues to support Hize. She claimed she was trying to keep the peace and that she felt trapped between wanting to do the right thing and her own guilt and obligations. But this deception has crossed a line for me. I'm exhausted and disheartened by the whole situation. I've tried to help, but it's clear that my support has only been enabling Hize further and creating more chaos in my life. I've decided that I can't continue this way. I'm officially going no contact with the entire family, including Kate. I've had enough of the manipulation, deceit, and lack of accountability. I'm done worrying about what others will think of this decision. It's become apparent that the only way for me to find any peace is to distance myself from the people who continue to make destructive choices and refuse to change. This isn't about cutting off family for the sake of it. It's about protecting my own mental and emotional well-being. Thank you to everyone who has supported me throughout this journey and offered guidance. I'm focusing on moving forward and rebuilding my life without the constant stress and drama that has come from my family's behavior. I hope that, eventually, Kate and Hize will face the consequences of their actions and find a way to deal with their issues. For now, though, I need to take a step back and prioritize my own health and sanity.